What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 15, Episode 14, Wreck-It Ralph. We might as well call this the Drew Show, the Drew and Ralph Show, because that's all we talk about is Drew, Drew, Drew. Like I said, this is Drew's year, where this show is going to be focused on her because I think everybody has their turn, has their moment in the sun, and this year it's Drew's moment. And because of this divorce that I'm pretty sure is still in progress between her and Ralph. Moving on, so let's get started. Drew. Okay, so they talk about her sister's mental health breakdown. Her sister had a mental health breakdown when she was in a very abusive relationship, and she went through this very difficult divorce, and so she had to be put in a psychiatric ward, and so yeah. So Drew wants to highlight the importance of mental health, and she's going to have a retreat for everybody to deal with their mental health. Okay, I guess that's what it's about. Sonia. So Sonia comes into the room, and we find out that into the bedroom. We're at Sonia's house, and we see that Ross had gifted her a brand new Rolex. And so he surprised her with this beautiful watch, and then she in turn surprises him with a positive pregnancy test. So she made it seem like it was in this folder and that she was going to start talking business with him. So he opens up this folder and there's this positive pregnancy test. And I can tell that Sonia watches a lot of TikTok because TikTok is full of surprise pregnancies announcements. So Ross is obviously extremely happy because he's been wanting a second child for so long. Sonia finally got on board with having another baby, and now she's pregnant. So congratulations to the two of them. This is like the very first time I think that I've truly enjoyed watching Sonia. This is like the first time I've enjoyed watching her. So that was really cute. So then they go downstairs and then they surprise the family with the pregnancy, and everybody's so happy and excited. And the family tells her that they found a place that they're all going to be moving to. So they're going to be soon moving out of Sonia and Ross's home. So of course Sonia always is thinking about herself. She's like, oh, we know what a time for my family to move out, and I'm going to have this baby and I'm going to need all this help. But she's going to hire a nanny. She'll be fine. Moving on to Drew. So it's date night with Ralph. Every time there's a scene with Drew and Ralph together, just the two of them, I get really anxious because I know it's about to go left. So it's their date night, and you would think that it'd be really positive. Like, what could go wrong at a bowling alley and having some, good, delicious hot wings? What could possibly go wrong? But they find a way. So Drew has finally closed the deal with Candy and Todd for the movie. Like I said, they were definitely going to keep Drew. They're not going to get rid of Drew. And so then they talk about counseling. So Drew talks about how she's still in the counseling, but Ralph had quit a long time ago. And Ralph says he doesn't need the counseling. He says that he can fix his own damn self. And he didn't like how the counselor was conducting their sessions. And, the counselor was constantly, I think he tried to say the counselor was constantly trying to hit on all of their issues. And I'm like, yeah, that's what a counselor does. But he didn't like how the counseling was going, so he quit, but Drew was still in it. Drew says that she can't really make him go if he doesn't want to go. She can only worry about herself. So then Drew tells him that she's going to be gone for about 10 days to shoot this movie. I'm like, they're going to take 10 days, a week and 3 days to shoot this movie. This must be like, I mean, it sounds, we all knew that it was going to be a low budget movie. This isn't backed by, Lionsgate or Paramount or anything like that. We understand that this is coming out of Candy and Todd's own pockets to pay for this movie. But I'm like, 10 days to shoot a movie? That's rigorous. So she tells Ralph she's going to be gone for 10 days to do this movie, and that she's really going to need him to step up because, he's going to have to be there with the kids and deal with all of their schoolwork and homework and all this other stuff. So Ralph is like, well, just like you're booked and busy, I'm booked and busy too. He almost seemed like he was offended or something that Drew would just assume that he had nothing to do but to stay home and take care of his own children. So he's like, well, you're busy, I'm busy too. So whatever. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I guess the kids are going to be home by themselves. So Drew says that no, the producers asked Drew in her confessional if she believes that there was something going on between Ralph and this manager that had suggested he try out for this male strip performance. And Drew says, no, I don't think anything is going on between Ralph and this manager. Why wouldn't you think that? Because I mean, he's proven that he doesn't mind having inappropriate relationships with the people that he's employed. So why wouldn't you think that? Moving on to Kenya. So Candy and Shamia come over to Kenya's house, and Kenya announces that she wants to have another baby. And Candy is like, well, who's going to be the daddy? And Kenya was like, well, I still have the frozen embryos, from me and Mark. So it's going to be Mark. And so then they talk about how, like, is Mark going to approve? And Kenyon says she doesn't know if he's going to approve or not with her having another baby, but Shamia says, well, if I were you, I would just go ahead and do it whether he says yes or no. And I have a feeling that I had heard Kenya say that the reason why she was able to keep possession of the embryos was because Mark told her, if you're going to have any children with these embryos, I'm not going to be responsible. And that's how he was able to relinquish his rights to those embryos. I think that's what happened, but I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining things. So then they talk about Sheree. Oh, no, first of all, before Sheree, they talk about the surrogate. So Kenya says that she's considering having a surrogate because the doctor had told her that if she got pregnant, it was going to be extremely high risk pregnancy. And all of these issues are going to be escalated, like her blood pressure and have possibility of having a heart attack or a stroke, and all these other issues are going to be very elevated if she decided to get pregnant on her own. So she's considering a surrogate. So they show that Sheree and Candy use the same surrogate, and I don't know if Kenya is thinking about using that same surrogate as well, but I'm thinking to myself, that woman is, because I think that woman had triplets. She had her own biological triplets, and then she was a surrogate for Shamia and Candy. I'm like, wow, that woman's, her womb, her uterus is putting in some time, working overtime, double time, triple time. So then they talk about Sheree, and then Sheree had a birthday party. No, she had a birthday dinner that was hosted by Martell. And according to Kenya, Martell had asked the women that were invited to the birthday dinner to cash app him the money that he spent on the birthday dinner, which was $1,500. And people still think that Martell and Sheree are in a real relationship. Like, who the hell does that? And why would you ask her friends to cash up you the money? What if her friends told, like, look, y'all, it just proves that this is not a real relationship, that this was just a business arrangement or whatever. And he was like, this is not really my girlfriend, so why am I spending $1,500 on her birthday dinner? So yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to cash up me the money, because this is just a moment for y'all. I really ain't got nothing to do with this. Sheree. So Martell, she's in some dog grooming place getting her dog groomed, and Martell calls her, and I guess he's arrived in Atlanta or something. I don't know what's going on. So she tells us that Martell had bought her, for her birthday, he got her an Alexander McQueen bag. And I thought she said that he really doesn't buy high-end things. But isn't it Alexander? What was she trying to say? Was she trying to say he really doesn't buy high-end things, so it was really special that he bought me an Alexander McQueen bag? Or was she saying because he doesn't buy high-end things, he bought me this cheap Alexander McQueen bag? Like, I really didn't understand what she was trying to say. But anyway, if he's not used to buying high-end things, it's because he's got 5 kids. He's got 5 children that he needs to support. Moving on. Candy and Drew. So they are doing the table read for the movie called The Pass. And I'm thinking to myself, of course, Candy and Todd, would do a very sexually explicit type of film, because that's what they're all about. Their whole life was just centered around sex. So they do the table read, and we see that there's like a whole bunch of people that we recognize is going to be a part of this damn movie. It's going to be, we know that Drew is in it. And also, There's going to be Shamia is going to be in it, and Manetta is also going to be in this movie. So that's going to be quite interesting. I wonder if it's going to be released on Tubi. Moving on from there, it is time for Drew's mental health retreat. Everyone arrives, right? So Drew was already there, right? Because she's the one hosting this retreat. So she had to be there before everybody arrived to make sure that everything was ready for this event. So the men, as people are arriving, Ralph shows up, and Ralph greeted everybody. No, that's not how it happened. When Ralph showed up, Drew went up to him to greet him because this is her husband. So she walks up to him to give her a hug, and he bypasses the hug. He bypasses her completely. Then he goes around and hugs and greets every single person, but not his own wife. And I think she tried again to greet him, and he ignored her. And then finally, when she tried for the third time, he couldn't avoid her because everybody was standing around them looking, because they had realized, everybody saw how he bypassed, how he ducked and dodged his own wife when she came up to him initially to give him a hug. So when she came up to him for the third time, everybody was watching them. He couldn't avoid her. So in order to save face, he went ahead and gave in and gave his wife a hug. Ralph is scum. Okay? Absolute and total scum. I am of the belief, and maybe because I'm old school, if you and your spouse are having issues and you're out in public, don't ever let anybody know that you and your spouse are having issues. You put on a brave front. You act like you are just so absolutely head over heels in love with each other, and that everything is just hunky-dory in your home. Don't ever let people know in public, based on y'all's behavior and interactions, that there's tension between the two of you. You take care of that stuff at home. And if you want to confide in your friends and talk to them about your issues, that's fine. But if you're like at a public event, don't bring that tension to everybody else, because it just makes everything so awkward for everyone when a married couple is, battling, and they're like in this really bitter, very tense situation. It makes everybody else uncomfortable. And everybody was uncomfortable because everybody noticed how he tried to avoid greeting his wife. So anyways, he's scum. So Drew's sister talks about her mental health journey, and then they all go to the different stations. They do the drop it with Drew. Then they go into the meditation room. And when they're in the meditation room, Candy had a moment because Candy is stressed out. Candy, girl, look, I understand you're all about your bag. I told you before, and I'm going to tell you again. You need to slow down. Okay, there's always going to be an opportunity to make money. This money is not going anywhere. There will always be opportunities to make money, but you need to slow down because you're going to stroke out. You're going to have a heart attack. I'm not putting that on you, but you need to slow the hell down because stress can lead to health problems. You need to slow down. So she's having a moment because, she's so overwhelmed with work and, not spending enough time with her friends and her family, like being pulled in all these different directions. Slow down, Candy. Moving on to their lunch, dinner, whatever it was. So everybody's sitting at the table. So Drew talks about how when they were in Portugal, she had a really vulnerable moment when she was crying about the lawsuit. And then Sheree says, well, we know that you went to court. Did you win? And so Drew says, no, the judge is going to give the judgment in about 30 days. They'll find out in 30 days. So then we get to know more about this lawsuit. So according to Drew and Ralph, because Drew is telling the girls, and outside Ralph is talking to the guys about what this lawsuit is really all about. So they said that this woman had, I guess they had put out an advertisement or something, I don't know, letting the people know that they were looking for a chef. So this woman who is suing them showed up to be interviewed as their chef, their personal chef. Well, whatever the hell she cooked for them, there was hair in the food. So they were like, okay, we don't know about you being our chef. So then the woman wanted to be interviewed for their nanny, because I guess they're looking for a nanny too. So they interviewed her for the nanny position, but that didn't work out either because she really wasn't interacting with the children. So then they were like, you know what, thank you for your time, but we're going to move on with another applicant. So then she sent them an invoice for $1,000. Okay. So I'm assuming the interview process was like, They tried her out as a chef, didn't work out. They tried her out as a nanny, didn't work out. And then maybe because she was like, well, I gave y'all my time as a chef and I gave y'all my time as a nanny, and I'm not doing this for free, so y'all owe me $1,000. So she sent them an invoice. They thought it was bogus because maybe in their mind they were thinking that we're still in the interview process. You know, we have not hired you. We haven't signed any contracts with you. We're still interviewing. And in her mind, she's thinking, but I gave y'all my time and energy. It wasn't just a 30-minute interview or a 1-hour interview. I cooked for y'all. I nannied your children for however long. So where's my money? So Drew tells the women that she sued them for $1,000, but then the lawsuit ballooned into $10,000. And of course, Drew has a history of lying. Okay. So everyone is like, $10,000? How, what, where, and why? And then Bravo shows us the receipts. And in the court paperwork, the lady was only asking for $1,000, but then Drew said it was $10,000. Anywho, so I guess when she loses the lawsuit and has to pay the $1,000, she's going to claim that she was still the winner because she didn't have to pay the $10,000 that she lied about. So, okay, fine. So we talk about that. So Kenya then brings up Sheree's birthday party dinner, and Sheree only invited some of the women. She didn't invite Drew, and she didn't invite Kenya. She didn't invite Drew, and she didn't invite Candy. And Drew was like, well, did my invitation get lost in the mail? And Sheree was like, no, because Ralph told me that you had a sick child. And then Drew was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. She probably lied about that too. And so then Candy was like, well, what about my invitation? And Sheree said, girl, you weren't going to come anyway because you're booked and busy. You don't even show up for half of our events as a group. How are you going to show up for my little old birthday party? And Candy was like, I was home that day. I would have went if you would have invited me. So then they talk about Moneta. So then Moneta says that the group is very divided. I don't know what. Look, y'all. I don't know why Moneta is on this show. I don't know why Courtney is on this show. But Moneta and Courtney, they concocted, in my personal opinion, this false drama. So Moneta says that the group is divided. Okay, fine. Then Moneta says that when they were in Portugal and they were having that big discussion about whether or not Drew and LaToya kissed, when they were in the room talking about all of that, at some point the conversation switched to, I don't even know what they were talking about. But according to Moneta, she said that Courtney had referred to Drew as a bitch. And Courtney was like, I didn't call her that. So then they showed us the clip. And it looked like Courtney was referring to Sonia as a bitch because there was an arrow pointing at Sonia when Courtney was saying, and that B, and that B. And they made it seem like she was referring to Sonia. But Moneta thought that she was referring to Drew. So Courtney is trying to defend herself and say, I didn't call her that. Now, she went too far when she said, I don't even use that word. Girl, stop lying. Why are you lying about that? I don't even use that word. That word isn't even a part of my vocabulary. And then as they were leaving the dinner, she used that word. And then somebody was like, you see, you do use that word. And then Courtney was like, well, this is the first time that I've ever used it. First of all, who cares? Why are you even on this show, Courtney? What are you doing here? Why are you here just to cause, you and Moneta both, why are y'all here just to cause confusion? And I have a feeling that Moneta got something confused before, but I can't remember exactly what, that she caused some type of misunderstanding before. Moving on from that nonsense. Drew. So Ralph and Drew, they're not talking right now. Her counselor comes over, her therapist comes over, and we find out that her and Ralph are not speaking because ever since date night, Ralph has been very distant from her. He quit talking to her, and he moved back into his son's bedroom. And the reason why I said, well, I don't know. She said he moved out of their bedroom. I'm assuming he went into his son's bedroom because the last time that Ralph moved out of their bedroom, he was on the bottom bunk the bottom bunk bed in his son's room. So I'm assuming that's where he's back. His son, probably let him come back in. Come on, Dad. We know you're not talking to Mom right now. The bottom bunk is ready for you, Dad. So he moved out of the bedroom and he's not talking to her. And so, she's talking about all the issues in her damn marriage. And I can't believe they've only been married 8 years and they have this many problems with Ralph's pseudo infidelities, his mysterious trips, all of these issues that they've only been married 8 years. They have like 20 years of marital problems they've experienced in 8 short years. So the counselor, so Drew says that Ralph doesn't take her feelings into consideration. He doesn't care about her feelings. He's not emotionally aware of what she's going through. And so the counselor asks her, how much are you willing to put up with? I'm like, how much longer are you going to put up with this? And that's where their segment ended. Oh, y'all, this show is just, I don't know. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.